Hello folks, happy holidays. Doodle here with the final video involving the X and Y axis upgrade on his 3018 Pro Desktop CNC. Now in the last video I did tell you that I was going to rip the machine completely asunder to describe and show you how I did it. I realized that I didn't have to. It is quite simple with what I've done with the X and Y axis. The only addition were two extra bars that I had fastened the Bakelite screw in the front end. Yes, these two bars that I made are the key to upgrading the X-axis on the 3018 Pro. And correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, I don't know where to get Bakelites any longer than these ones. I don't even know how to find them. So I went to Home Depot and I bought a steel bar that's a little over 900 millimeters long, and it is 40 millimeters wide and 2 millimeters thick. It is very sturdy. It doesn't flex very much. It doesn't flex at all, actually. So what I did with this one here is I actually took the Bakelite and I placed it on top, and I marked the holes. I drilled the holes, and I mounted the Bakelite to the bar with nuts and bolts, or in my case wing nuts. I recessed the holes for the rods so that the screws have enough meat when they go into the rods. And I also made an inch hole so that we have room for the collet on the spindle and for the Acme screw. And what I did on this here, on the ends, is I just took the bar and I put it to the end, and I marked the holes, but then I measured to make sure that they're a millimeter from the center of the hole to the edge, and from the top is a millimeter to the center, and then 3 millimeters to the center here. I made sure that those were as well. I guess you could probably see that I kind of messed up one, but it does work. And the same with the other one. What I did with the front is I did pretty much the same thing. I have a hole. I made that hole in the middle just slightly larger than the bushing. That way it's not, the Acme screw is not rubbing against the metal and wearing out. And I put the hole same way. I measured and I marked, and so I put that on it. Like I said, the process for upgrading the X-axis on this is the same or similar as upgrading the Y-axis. What I did, I bought the Daedalus Y-axis adapter upgrade kit, 2 of them, because what they do is they give you a Acme screw with about half an inch extra meat on the end, so that you can put a knob on it, and they give you the knob. That way you can fine-tune your position rather than fiddling with the controls on easel or whatever the case may be. And with the Y-axis upgrade, what you do is you replace the bars, the rods, and the Acme screw. With the X-axis, it would be the same thing. You would replace the rods with the longer rods, you would replace the Acme screw with the longer Acme screw, and you would replace the bars with the longer bars. Having said that, like I said, to upgrade the X-axis, the bakelights need to be extended, and so I use the bar. Also, the Z-axis, as you may notice, is still going to be what the 318 Pro has. In order for me to upgrade the Z-axis, I would have to make something similar that I did with the X-axis, in that I would take a bar and put it behind here, extend this, and also, if you're thinking correctly, I would have to remanufacture or 3D print the carriage with more space, and so it could go up and down. And since it's 3D printed, I would put a steel bar behind it, so that way it is more stable. Now, to reassemble this CNC with the bars is simple. Basically, once you have all of the holes lined up, basically what you want to do is you want to mount the Bakelite onto it and make sure you have the feet on the bottom. Otherwise it'll look kind of goofy if they're upside down. And then it goes, that goes in the back. This one goes in the front. And we shall start assembling. And what you will see is we will have a bigger machine. Now, when I am putting these bolts in, I will not be putting them all in tight, because I want to leave them loose, because I have to make sure that the bed frame is square. And also, with regards to the position of the Z-axis, I tried my best, and I might not be correct. I tried to, I had it assembled once, and I put the spindle in the middle, and I measured how far it could go from the edge of the bed to the back, and from the edge of the bed to the front, and I calculated and I split the difference, and I moved this up so that it's actually 125 millimeters on either side of the bed, going this way and this way, and so that's a total of 350. This I didn't quite center. It's 90 millimeters on this side and 95 on this side, plus the size of the bed. And if, again, in the comments, if you want to mention something, you're more than welcome to. And again, what I did, I put feet on the bottom, I put screws in. I had some extra screws, the short ones, and so I used them on the bottom. That way, because obviously you have the feet here, but then you could have wobble, so I made sure that I had feet on all four corners. And as far as these feet not touching the table is concerned, that's not a big issue, because it doesn't move. The bars, it doesn't flex. So once I screw it together, it won't flex. And of course, I'm not going full speed on the drill. And again, I've got the Ryobi, of course, with the control lock, so I don't have it going full blast. And as far as the rods go, just the same way you're upgrading upgrading both axes is a similar process, very similar process. Just put the Acme screw in the middle. You'll have two rods. Eventually they will come up. I just put the screws in loose, And for the rods, I do have a Allen key that I use, but I actually need an Allen key for the final process of screwing all of these tight. And since I got it, like I said, I got it set up on my Ryobi so that it fits when it, I don't over tighten. And again, like I said, I'm not tightening all the screws just yet. I'm going to assemble the back half of the unit and make sure that it is square before I tighten all the screws. Okay. And what we do is we turn this around. Here, so we don't really get anything. And as you'll notice, I actually extended the cable going to the the Y-axis motor because my bed frame was larger, and then what I did was I zip strapped them to the bars. Just to keep them out of the way. That way, if I'm working with large material, it's going to be going over the edge of the bed. Then, yeah, we don't want to be ripping the cables out of place. And actually, all things considered, I do like the 3018 Pro, very versatile machine. I do have the spindle on it right now, but I've got about 3 or 4 different lasers of different wattage sizes and variances, and actually it's, I really like it. Make sure all the screws going up. Yeah, I think the manufacturer kind of doesn't recommend you using a drill because they assume that you're just going to go full torque on it. If you're careful, no, you don't wreck things. Pay attention to what you're doing and you should be fine. Just like that. Alright, and then what we will do is we will have to hook up the axis screw to the spindle, and I have a key for that as well. And the collet on these, I don't know if you noticed, but they're flexible, especially since the bar is long. So that gives it a little bit of play in case something happens and the bar doesn't want to spin straight, I guess. But as far as I'm concerned, I haven't had that issue yet. So Now let's put the screws in for the rods, and we are almost set to tighten this down. And the other thing too, with the rods, you can only tighten them so far, even with the drill, because the rod itself tends to want to spin on you. So I have a set of vice grips handy. I will just grab those in a minute. And or you can hold it like I'm doing, and then transfer it works by. I'll get my vice grips in a minute here. Because what we will do first, before we tighten those, is we want to make sure these corners are square. I have a square handy. So what I will do, and I will line it up, and I will make sure it is square, and it is. And if it's not quite square, loosen it off a bit, and then you can tap one way or another to get it flush and square in the corner. And once you have that, you tighten these, and then the rest should be straightforward. Once you get these two corners square, the rest should all be easy peasy. And one other thing I could probably put the dimensions that I made my bars with in the doodly-doo, as Curious Mark would say, but my CNC might be different in size than some of yours, and so what I would suggest you guys do would be to consider measuring all of your pieces, because there's a chance that your piece could be not the same size. And my script's okay. So now we've got all that. What I do, and just loosely, I don't want to put any marks on that. I could actually put a cloth in here, but I'm not holding it tight. And I will go with this. And like, I'm not going full speed. And when I'm getting to the end where it's tight, I actually twist the drill. So I give it a little bit of torque, but not too much, because I don't want to overstrip these or over tighten. And then we will do the other other side is square. And just turn this around. And we'll do the same here. Do the corners first. Make sure this corner is good. It is. So I'll just tighten the screws. Still square. And good to go. The other side, make sure it's square. Okay, your square, perfectamundo. Let's go. And like I said, I'm not going full speed on the drill. Yep, she's square. I forgot to tell you that, but you have to trust me on that. But actually, hold on. You still won't see that, but yes, that is square. Okay, so that part is taken care of. 2 more screws. So we'll grab our vice grips. And we'll tighten these. And carefully. And one more. There we go. And one last thing, we are going to put the knob on the Y-axis. Now, seeing as how the Y-axis is, I've got the bars, the Y-axis is actually just a little bit shorter at the end. So I'm going to just put this on a little closer, but not too close. That way it has meat to grab, but it's not going to be rubbing against my Bakelite. And there we go. Done deal. Done right there. And you can move it by hand. Awesome. Same with this one. What I will do is I will hook up all the cables and then we will test it out. Basically what I did, aside from emergency surgery on a Y-axis pin I accidentally damaged, I replaced. What I did was, the switches I bought were universal. They have power lead as well as the switch lead and common. So I carefully removed the power wire and connector from the black connector casing. Then very carefully snipped off a bit of the wire so that that red is not exposed. Then I very carefully cut the connector casing so that it has 2 connections instead of 3, 2 holes instead of 3, and it fits nicely and perfectly in the existing connectors on my dribble board, which are 2 pin. But that, again, that's in my case. The switches I bought happen to have 3 pins. Didn't notice it at first, my bad, but it actually does what it's supposed to do. And of course, testing it in UGS, my calibrations came up spot on. I moved that axis, otherwise it would say 55. And the limit switches do work on the both axes. And that would be the Y-axis we were looking at. This is the X-axis. This is the X-axis. And I carefully and neatly tucked away all the connectors so that they're not hanging out. They're not going to be in the way of anything that I carve. I don't have my homing pigeon. That I seem to have misplaced. So we will go without homing for now, but otherwise, yes, that should look fine. Soft limits will prevent the machine to move beyond its safe work area. Soft limits is not available on your hardware. Homing needs to be enabled before enabling soft limits. So that means I would probably have to enable homing on this. But for now, we're just going to cancel out. We are going to exit out of this program for now, and we will open easel in here. What we do have to do in this particular case, though, sounds to me like we will have to edit or create a new machine. So edit your machine. Okay, work area 300 millimeters by 180. No, it is bigger than that. Give me a second. I actually measured, like I said, I went with from the Y-axis. I moved it as far as I could in both directions, and I measured the distance. Same with this. I measured where this actually sits over here and where it sits over here, and I came up with, is this the right one? No, that's not the right one. I came up with the values that actually correspond with my new setup. The working area of mine is going to be 370 millimeters by 367 millimeters by 36 millimeters. So 370 is the X. And 367 is the Y. Spindle controlled by hardware. Spindle is other. And default spindle speed 12,000 RPM. No, I don't have any. Okay, so we're going to click on save. So that makes our work area humongous. Now we should be able to actually just click on that. And we should be able to move our axes. And if you do get any binding anywhere, then you're either not square or there could be an issue with how you have your table set up. But so far, everything seems to function. I can go with the limit switch on. left. Yeah, I gotta find my homing pigeon. Every software I'm using is suggesting that I home this, and this may not, the limit switch may not work if I haven't got it home properly. But so far this is working smoothly, and yeah, I have no issues with what I've set up here. And yeah, the limit switch said, nope, you ain't going anywhere. So, let me close that. Yeah, basically that is how I upgraded my system, and actually it is not that difficult to do. If you have a drill press, that would be the way to go with this. Otherwise, yeah, it's a beautiful setup, and now I can carve out bigger pet stones. I'm going to attempt a 3D chest set out of soapstone. That will be interesting to see how it goes. So again, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to smash the like button because I know you love what you saw. And if you haven't, right, so now that we've finished assembling the unit, we are about ready to attach and fasten the wires for the XYZ axis and the limit switches. Because coincidentally I managed to get the limit switches from Amazon, and I figured since the bed frame is going to be bigger, that I would put some limit switches. I have the limit switches on the X and Y axis for now. The Z axis is going to be an upgrade. So with that being said though, there is one thing that I did with the limit switches, and that was very carefully I ground down the leads, some with the solder on the back of the circuit board, so that they would be more flush when I mount them, and so that the metal leads won't touch the steel bar that I used for my axis extension. Even though I have tape on there, the leads might protrude through the tape and short out eventually, and as I've done, be very careful not to, because I use a Dremel, be very careful not to sand the trace with that, or you'll have to patch those. And so, that being said, what we shall do is I will have the I have the limit switch, two of them on the X-axis on either side, same place. I've got them below the rod, well, above the rod, the bottom rod, but below the Acme screw, so that the wires are hidden in the back and they're not going to be touching or rubbing against the screw and eventually get wore out. Same with the limit switches here, same with the other. And with the Y-axis, since I extended the Y-axis itself, I had to extend the Y-axis cable, and so I did, and then we can put the Y-axis cable so that it is hidden from view. It'll look pretty, all that good stuff, but we'll start attaching things and we'll use zip straps to assemble them, and then we will test this unit out. And X goes in. Oh, and another thing too that I should mention, I do stand corrected on my dimensions. For the bed frame size, originally I calculated roughly 17.7 inches or so from, or 450 mils from end to end and end to end. I actually calculated by moving the carriage from the extremities of the X and Y axis to measure how far it actually goes, and I actually have a measurement of roughly 14.5 inches X and 14.5 inches Y, and I have 370 millimeters on the X axis and 367 millimeters on the Y axis. Still, I only spent $400 total for all the parts, and considering the Genmitsu is $849 on Amazon, the cheapest was a knockoff for $549. So actually not bad for what all things considered. And the assembly was quite simple. So yeah, I think I made a wise decision trying to do the upgrade myself. And what we will do is very carefully we will hide the zip strap behind the Doodle board, but we want to make sure that we don't have it so that it is anywhere near the Acme screw or the rods, because we want this carriage to move freely. So I'm going to very carefully put this up, and we're going to hide this behind the Acme screw and the rod, and then we will put the Doodle board back in the middle of the carriage. Be the best place to have it. And what I will do with the cables for the Z-axis and the motor is I will have them parked, I'll have them attached via this zip strap, but I'm going to have it loose. It will be enough so that we have free movement of the carriage without having these wires get in the way of any work that I might possibly have on the bed. So we're going to do it this way. We'll have the slack taken from the Doodle board, and we'll leave the excess over the top. Again, I'm just going to have it somewhat loose so that if ever I need to change the spindle for a laser, which I have a couple lying around, then we can do so without having to replace the zip strap all the time. And what I've done with the Doodle board is I actually got I got some brass screws that I had lying around. And these brass screws have nuts that fit the grooves of the bars just nicely, and so I just put them in, 2 on the top, works for me, and then we just tighten them down, and it holds this board together real nice. It'll hold the zip strap in place without having to worry about it move too much. There shouldn't be too much of an issue with the wires being in the way now. I just didn't want them hanging over my work, and if I had something in the way sticking out, I wouldn't want them get to snag the wires. And again, like I said, I bought the Daedalus Y-axis upgrade kit because it has the knobs on it. One thing I'm going to have to make sure is that I have free movement behind my carriage with that. So there we go, that works for me. Take care of that. That one's done. Okay, and we'll do the Y-axis. And what I do with my wires is I actually take them and I tuck them into the grooves of the bars so that they're out of the way as well, and it looks prettier that way. And all I really do is a couple on either side of where, one beside the Doodle board, and then I have one on the other side to keep it from going anywhere. Since the X and Y-axis motors aren't moving, then it's safe to put these and tighten them as good as I can get them. Then we won't have to worry about wires getting snagged, we won't have to worry about anything like that, and it'll look pretty when it's done. I'll just give myself a little bit of slack next to the Doodle board so that in case you need it. And these zip straps I got are the kind that are supposed to snap off when you just bend the plastic. I shouldn't have got these ones, they're not the best, but if you tighten these ones too much, they tend to snap, which is not a good thing, so be careful not to over tighten these if you got those kind. Either way, I'm still used to cutting them off, so. And there is a limit switch that's going here as well, a cable for a limit switch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the cable in the limit switch, and I'm going to run that cable in the same place as my Y-axis motor. And like I said, I've hid these nicely so the cables won't get in the way. I made sure that the cables are facing down, and this only goes one way, and I want to make sure I'm prepared because it doesn't seem to want to fit. Now, okay, so what we'll do is this. And we'll take this, we will run this to the motor. Okay. I do have the motor facing downwards, or the connector on this Y-axis motor facing downwards. I can move that any time. It won't be hard, but I won't do that now. Just for the sake of this video, I'm going to just leave it as it is. Okay, come on. Takes care of that one. And like I said, just to make sure they're out of the way. Now I don't need to get carried away with these, so we'll just put one here. And then we can do the next one. Now, just make sure that these are out of the way of our work as well, and we want them to look nice, so tuck them in that way. And I'll put the smaller limit switch wire underneath the bigger cable that I have. Keep that out of the way. And we'll add another zip strap here to keep it secure. Okay, then this one, we'll make sure that it stays out of the way. More for safe measure. Yeah, I don't plan on moving these limit switches or these motors anytime soon, and since they are stationary, unlike the Z-axis and the, yeah, this will be fine the way it is. Okay. Now that takes care of the Y-axis, and that takes care of one of the limit switches for the Y-axis. Now we'll go with the other limit switch for the Y-axis. I put the limit switches on the Y-axis on different sides, but technically it doesn't matter where you put them. As long as they're out of the way and they don't get this one might be a problem. I'm going to try this and see what we get. I think I'm going to have the same switch. I might have to put this one switch upside down for a reason, but I'm thinking that bed might be
chilly out.
Okay, one. As far as the zip straps go, I use as many as necessary to keep the wires from getting tangled or anything like that. But you don't need to get too carried away. Okay. Again, I probably could have put the limit switch on the other side, but okay. And you want this to be out of the way of the Acme screw. That's why I'm going to put it here. Yeah, all things considered, I would say that it was a challenge at first to get the dimensions for the x-axis bars, as it were, bakelights in the front and the back. The measurements were something to, but with the proper tools, you can get it to work. And so far, I actually like the results. And like I was saying, actually, I didn't realize when I got them, I like it now for the fact I bought the Daedalus Y-axis extenders because it has a little extra meat on the Acme screw for a knob. And since I'm doing an upgrade on the X and Y axis, I have two knobs that I can fine tune my X and Y axis position with versus having to fiddle with the controls in GPS Nightly or easel and sit there and fine tune, you know, where my head is. So now we put in some of these. So we have Y. So the Y limit goes into one of the Y, and it doesn't matter which one they go into, so long as Y is Y and X is X. Just to make sure that your limit switches actually fit the connectors that I have on the gerbil board, which I did not realize. My limit switches have 3 wires, 3 connectors, and my limit switches on my gerbil board have 2. We shall continue this video.